today, we're going to plunge into the case study that I was talking about last Friday, and you get a chance to see some of the thought processes that go into that and what's involved in making that case study work. Hello, Don from San Diego. And so I'm kind of excited to share this with you. I'm not going to give you all the details, obviously, because that's what we do. But I do want you to be able to see that. Hello from Dubai and from Singapore. So it's good to see all of you. It's good to have you take the time and dedicate the time to come in and join us on Friday. So I'm ready to get plunged into the agenda that we have for today, and we'll start there and we'll work through. Now, this is, and I say this frequently, this is an interactive webinar, which means that if you have a question, feel free to ask. If I have the bandwidth and the space to be able to do that, I will. I try to demonstrate anything that somebody has an issue with, so that we have a good, fresh, clean experience. And it's very important that we do that. So I kind of like that interactive webinar sort of a thing, because that way we can deal with whatever you bring. It's also kind of my reward to you for being here. This is kind of a personal one-to-one sort of a thing, but not exactly like that. So, and we do this every single week. Jessica, good to see you. Elisa, good to see you. Chandra, good to have you on today as well. And so I'll try to stay caught up with people who come in and announce themselves. I always take this first 3 or 4 minutes to kind of introduce and make introductions and do those kinds of things. And then we try to get started rather quickly after that. So let's plunge into the agenda, and we'll start working our way through the agenda. And I want to share some really cool stuff with you from things that people have shared in the group, because there's been some really cool stuff go into the group. So I will try to stay caught up with your questions and your comments as we go, and also be able to work our way through the agenda. Let me make my screen just a little bit smaller. That may help. I'm going to make a few little minor adjustments here. Hello, Rob. All right. Say this over and over and over again. There's nothing that you can't do without the updates. The program's fully functional. I want everybody to understand that. There's nothing broke. There's nothing that's not functioning. I'm going to share with you some other insights that I had that might be helpful to you. But there's nothing that you can't do. The group tool doesn't work, and that we're fully aware of. And so just keep that in mind. And that's not that it's broke. It's just not been updated. And the previews are in desperate need of an upgrade from what we had in the past. And we can't use the previous previews. And so as those previews are getting upgraded, that function will be available later as well. You can make a webinar replays are now available, and they will be posted in the group. Try to get them posted, and sometimes on a Friday afternoon I have a very, very full schedule, and I can't always post them the same day. I can't even always post them the same weekend, but I try to do that as quickly as I can so that you'll have a chance to see those. Now, I say that with this exception to that. If there were as many views of the replay as there are requests for the replay, it would be amazing. But there's always more requests for a replay than there are views of the replay, because I can't see the views of the replay. And that's a little discouraging to somebody who spends a couple of extra hours making sure the replays are a good experience for everybody. So I won't post them if they're not going to be helpful to people. And so if people aren't going to watch them, then that's not going to be beneficial or good use of my time either. Hello, Rico. But do take advantage of that. We make them available for your benefit. I don't know of any other platform that does a weekly webinar to help people stay current on what's going on, or to explore as many options and opportunities as you have, as we do. And then those replays, we've had a huge library of replays that are now pretty outdated because of the change in the platform. But we will begin to build a new library of experience for people, and we're already seeing some amazing results of that. I'm going to share that with you in just a second. So again, the webinars are an interactive learning experience. Take advantage of that. The feedback system is coming for the webinars, and we'll have that available later. This link doesn't go to anything. This is the last Youzign sessions that was available. I really need to delete that from that first screen. All right, thank you, James. I appreciate that. And then just a little blast from the past. I started using this phrase, learn, unlearn, and relearn. A few years ago. I've dedicated probably, I don't know, four or five different webinars that we've done have been focused on this topic right here, learn, relearn, unlearn. Somebody give Lucy instructions on what to do if she's not able to hear. She'll need to refresh, and I can't tell her how to do that because she can't hear me. So if you can help her, I would appreciate that. But I've used this phrase, learn, unlearn, and relearn for quite some time. And it came from a quote from Alvin Toffler. And he said this, he's a little less kind than I am. He said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. What a powerful statement that is. And I think that's an incredibly powerful statement. At the age that I am, there's been a number of things that I've had to unlearn over the years. And I spent a lot of time trying to learn, and I then had to unlearn them so that I could relearn something that would be even better. And so I started using that phrase. I started mixing that into the things that we have done. And I have, and then I opened up YouTube to do a little research in YouTube, and I saw Bob Proctor is now offering a master class on the topic of learn, unlearn, and relearn. Kind of reinforced for me the value of that statement. If they're going to dedicate a master class space to the topic of learn, unlearn, and relearn, then there is, it's probably worth paying attention to. And it's really hard for people to get their head wrapped around the unlearn part, but I want it to work like I used to. It doesn't make any difference. When something's over, you need to understand that it's over, and you need to unlearn and relearn so that it will work going forward. It doesn't make any difference what that is. I'm going to give you a little list here in just a second of things that are just mind-boggling, okay? And they really are mind-boggling. And yes, I agree. Bob Proctor's been an amazing mentor to a lot of people. Man, now in his late 80s, but still a rock of insight to people in this country. Yes, it's the whole process of having to teach an old dog new tricks, and not easy. It's not easy. That process is not easy. I didn't promise it was easy, but it is necessary. I don't want to be the illiterate of the 21st century who refused, hi Mike, who refused to unlearn so that I might be able to relearn, okay? Yeah, old dogs get to be that way. Now, let me give you just a little bit of personal insight here for just a second. I want you to see this. I've kind of kept a little bit of track of this, and the list got to be very long. These are issues, known issues, programs that have known issues. I've got to grab a cord here. Hang on a second. These are programs that have known issues inside of the Chrome browser. They didn't have in the past, but they do have now. The last 4 or 5 months have been ugly with Chrome. I mean, just really ugly. Hello, Carol. They've just really been ugly. And so I've kind of kept track of a list of programs that I have been able to use on a very regular basis. And then all of a sudden something didn't work and I can't get it to work. I've contacted the support desk at those programs, and their suggestion was try a different browser. And every time that's happened, it's worked, which tells me that there's a problem residing on the browser. And it doesn't make any difference what update, because I keep my browsers updated. I do those kinds of things that are necessary. And I just want you to be aware of the fact that you're going to notice some things that don't necessarily work as they used to work, okay? And this is a list. It's not a complete list, but it shows you the vast variety of things that doesn't work. Conversion Gorilla, very simple little tool that puts a drop down on people's pages. Crashed multiple times on a Chrome browser, opened it up in Brave, worked fine. Active Campaign couldn't create a list. Kind of important to create a list in your list builder software. Couldn't create a list. I could do absolutely everything else, but I couldn't do that. And that one thing was kind of necessary. I contacted their support. They have 145,000 users, and they are on their third round of funding with more than $230 million just dropped into their company. They can't find it. So be kind to people and understand sometimes things go beyond the control of the company, and don't throw them under the bus. Pixar, which is another graphics program. I tried to do something the other day, and it just absolutely wouldn't work. And I'm like pulling my hair out, and I went, oh, Eric, switch browsers. And I switched browsers, no problem. Dealer Tech, which is a program that my wife uses at the business that they have. And it has been a nightmare in the last 5 months operating in Chrome. ThriveCart, there were things in ThriveCart that didn't work. I'm not talking about fly-by-night programs, folks. That's the reason why I gave you this list. Sometimes things just aren't going to work the way they did. And all of the beating people up, all of the complaining, all of the stuff that you can do, you can't fix it. And if you can't fix it, then you need to accept the fact and move on. And it's not the problem with any of these programs over here. It's the problem with the way the browser interacts. Just wish we could get past that, but for some reason, that's just not seeming to make sense to people. Okay? Enough of that. Now, let's talk about some of the amazing things that we're seeing. I'm just going to give you just a handful of people who have posted some really, really cool stuff inside of the platform, inside of the users group. And this was one, this is a lot longer, so I couldn't include all of it, but this is really cool. How cool is that? Lightning Strike couldn't have done that before. So this is pretty awesome. And I really, really do appreciate people posting these things and showing that they're doing the things that we're talking about in the webinars, taking advantage of the amazing capabilities of the platform now, and are just really, really impressed with that. Sonny, who is on with us today, actually did this, and this is really cool, using the reflection tool. And then he also shared, how did I end up with the same picture twice? Folks, I'm sorry about that. That was supposed to be a different picture from somebody else. This one's really, really cool. I want to break this one down for just a second, okay? This is amazing. This is one of the best attention-getting, very, very simple attention-getting posts that I have seen. I love the color combination. This color right here, along with the yellow in the background, whatever that color is, I love it. It's amazing. I use it on my site a lot. But this color right here with this yellow background is just a great color combination. The other things that are blended in here are nice and are complementary and very complementary. This is a good use of graphics. I love the combination of these two things right here. There's a slightly puzzled look here. There's a slightly in your face kind of look over here. This is just a great design, and I really, really like this. And so I wanted to share it with you this morning because I thought it was pretty awesome. Yes, it would also make a killer thumbnail, but this is a really, really good, not overly stuffed kind of presentation. Facebook has backed off a little bit on the amount of space that your text can take up in the image. And this does a great job of creating an ad space that would really pop as a post in Facebook or any other social media platform for that matter. But I just really wanted to recognize this because I thought this was an awesome picture. It was an awesome look at the color. This border around the outside here. Yeah, I like this color. The question is, would you make the color the same color as the blue jacket? Probably not. I really like that color combination. I like the leaning more toward the pastel colors. The other thing to keep in mind that's really important when you're going to post something on Facebook is that this little border around the outside can become very, very beneficial. It's kind of a visual disruption that keeps that from blending in. Okay. So I think it's pretty awesome. This is a really, really good example. And you can do that with the border tool. Create this border around the outside here. You create the background, and then there's a border tool. And this is the border tool right here. It gives you a really nice look on the outside of that. So great job. I really do appreciate that. I thought that was an awesome adventure. And then the last thing in respect for Emma and her little hashtag do the thing. So I thought that was pretty awesome. We're gonna now jump from here into, and I'm gonna give you kind of the thought processes through this case study, and then answer any questions that people might have. So I'm gonna jump over here. Let's see what I can't remember what I've got. Oh, that's a good example of what we were talking about the other day. This is, and I've saved this as an image, and then I just changed this right here as we go. So also a really good use of an image that kind of captures people's attention and is reflective of the topic that is shown there. Okay, so last week I talked about a case study that we were working on, and I'm going to duplicate this so we can open this up in another piece. But we were talking about a case study that we had, and where we were going to do an event. And at that event, we were going to give people t-shirts, and we were going to make posters, and we are going to do that kind of thing. Y'all remember that? Remember that case study that I kind of briefly introduced yesterday or last week? Well, I love case studies, and I really like it when you can unfold them in front of everybody. And so we're going to unfold that case study as we walk through the steps of this. Now, this is the next step in the process. You have people with t-shirts on. Okay, the t-shirts have a QR code, as I showed you last week, have a QR code on them and an invitation to participate. So what we did next was, and the next step was to create badges. Not a press pass, but the next closest thing to a press pass. I'm not trying to get them into the event for free. That would be a press pass. But in this case, we're trying to get them to help us to crowdsource images and videos. Everybody understand the concept behind, everybody understand the concept behind what we're trying to accomplish here. This is actually the logo from the event, okay? So in this case, I'm using their logo from the event. I don't know where they got it. They shared it with me and allowed me to be able to use that. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked it. I actually liked the logo that they've created. They created this. I liked this. This is just for this event. And the event has the location on the event. And then it also comes with the date at the bottom. So this is a great piece. This was provided by the event people themselves. So in order to make it kind of / a press pass, we would put the person who's going to wear the badge, put their picture here so that it kind of has that feel, right? Put their contact information right here. So that, and you can see this, so that the vendor can scan their QR code to give them an exchange of information, right? Y'all following with me? Do you understand where we're going with this? Now, I can create this little badge right here. This is a custom size. I can create this little badge right here. I made it 1500 by 2400. I'll show you where I came up with that at in just a second. But I can create this badge. It's really simple. There's just a handful of things on here. This is my funky old image, and then I just stuck it on here. I grabbed this gold color from the background because it's part of the color of the logo. I wanted to use just the colors of the logo and not introduce something new and create some confusion. I like to try to put the QR code on a black background. Makes it stand out a little bit better. It's a little bit easier, okay? Now, everybody understand what we're doing here? And then this is the logo for our logo for the event. Now, that's the challenge. I can create the badge. That's not a problem. The next thing that I have to do, though, in order to make this work, what I have to do is I have to be able to find two things. I have to find a lanyard so that they can wear the badge. Does that make sense? It doesn't really make any difference. You can make the contact information anything you want to. You can literally do absolutely anything you want to when you're using the QR code for that. You can make it a phone number. You can make it an email address. You can make it a contact card. You can make it literally anything. Now, in this particular event, we're going to make it a contact card, which will contain their name, their email address, and their phone number. So those three things will be under that QR code. That will be what the QR code will direct to. Patrick, does that make sense? We're literally going to give them, these are going to be customized for every single person because we're only going to have about 25. Well, that's really easy to customize that. And what we're trying to do is create a sense of community. Can you see how you can use a graphic to create a sense of community? Did you ever think about that? Yes. Yes, we're making that for them in exchange for them crowdsourcing all of the images and the stuff of them. So this would be exactly right, Don. This would be one of, I'm sorry, this would be, I get the right picture up here. This would be one of 25 that I would have to create. Now, how difficult is that? I would have to swap this picture. I have to swap the QR code. That's it. Picture, QR code, swap that out, create another image, and off we go. The other thing that's kind of cool about having the image on here is it makes it real easy to identify the badges. That makes sense? Makes it really easy to identify the badges. Now on the back side, we're going to use the QR code that we're going to put on people's t-shirts. And that is inviting other people to do the same thing. Now, obviously, they won't be able to get a badge because these have to be done and delivered 10 days prior to the event itself. So we're getting really close to the time right here when this is going to have to be wrapped up. And that piece, that function, that feature is going to have to close because we have to get them done in advance. All right. So now the next challenge becomes this. How do I take this badge and stick it around their neck? So this is, we're always talking about print on demand and I use Printify and Printful and a few other places that I've introduced you to. Today, we're going to look at another place. And this has to do with, are y'all with me? Does this make good sense to you? You understand? We're going to have to use a lanyard, and Don could make you a lanyard, I'm pretty sure. But we're going to use a lanyard and we're going to use a badge. And so I have to, the challenge that I have is I want to make that, yes, you can. And honestly, listen, we should do this, folks. And I've said this several times. If you're looking for something for a particular event, or you're looking for something for a particular promotion, see if there's somebody in the group that does that. Don literally makes those. He's got, and I've seen his work. It's really, really good. And so it would be good. And we had a guy who used to do t-shirts, and he's since moved on and is now retired and doing something else. But using each other's services is really, really important. In fact, this is an event I'm doing with somebody from the group, right? So very easy to do. Nothing complicated about this. You create a gold and a black background here. And then I put a black background here so that this would stand out from this. That all works well with the logo that they have here. And listen, don't hesitate to ask people what they do. In fact, we might even do a portion of a webinar someday where we get a chance to showcase those things. I used to showcase designers, and we did that for a long time. And so that may be something that we do in the near future as to how to showcase each other's benefits and so on. It's a good question, Rob. I'm about to show you. So this badge has got to go someplace. I've got two challenges with that. So I go over here and I take a look at lanyards, all right? And I want to find, so I took National Pen, which is pens.com. I took National Pen and I decided to look through here and did a search word for the keyword lanyards and badges. And so I get a list of lanyards with a lot of possibilities. There's some kind of cool things here that are available from a lanyard standpoint, which I was amazed. I actually saw lanyards over here that were USB cables. That was kind of cool. So lots of things that are available here. Don could make lanyards and so on. So scroll down here. The lanyard is not the important part though, because the lanyard is not something that I have to worry about. Just lost my chat. The lanyard is not something that I need to worry about as much as I need to be concerned about. How did I lose my screen? Oh, here we go. You're all still seeing my screen, right? Okay, thank you. I'm not as worried about the lanyard as I am about the badge holder, because I want to have a badge holder. I want to be able to slide this into a badge holder. Now, the reason why the badge holder becomes so important is because I'm going to brand the lanyard. Are you with me? If I take this logo and put it on the lanyard and they go home with it, they're going to remember the experience. This date's going to expire. But if I put this on the band on the lanyard, I will have it forever, kind of. I have a doorknob in my house that every lanyard of every event I've ever done hangs on. And now I'm using both sides of the door. but you understand what I'm saying? So I'm looking for the badge itself. What size does my badge have to be? So this is what I find. I find that I've got a vinyl badge holder here that actually, I think that the backside of this is going to be white, but and so that's just a one side badge holder. So I keep, and they do keep them. You're exactly right, Don. They do keep them. And I've been the keynote speaker at many events, and that little badge is kind of a badge of honor. It's kind of a way to show what I've done in the past. And so that's kind of awesome. But this one's going to have a white background, and I may or may not want a white background. I'd really like to have it on a clear background. So but I'm looking for the size, 3 3/4 by 4. Now that's the overall size of this, which means my badge size on the inside is going to be a little bit different size. Okay. All right. You understand what we're doing? This is the thought process you have to go through. Here's one that's 4 by 2. Okay. That's roughly a business card size. Now that might be ideal. 4 by 2.5. That might be ideal. And if I can make that a business card, then it makes my life really easy, because I have this, but I've got to get from this to the badge. Am I making sense to everybody? So I figure out what size holder can I put my badge in, and this company only has 2 sizes, which means I might want to look someplace else. But before I do that, I'm going to look to see what can I print it on. So I go over to Avery.com, the leading company on on things that you can print on, because I'm just going to print these out. Once they're stuck inside of the badge holder, I don't have to worry about them. So I can print them off on my printer. I don't have to take them to a print shop and have them printed. If I was going to take it to a print shop and I was going to make 500 of these, that would be a different story. If I have 500 of these, I'm not going to customize them. Does that make sense? And that's an idea, Don Uline. I just wanted to walk people through the thought process of what you have to do here. So there's something that you have to keep in mind when you do this. You begin how? You begin with the end in mind. So I've got to think about what's my end. Now I have to think about all the parts. In order to do this, I have to think about all the parts that are involved. So I don't go, oh, crud, that's not going to work. So I have to think about the end and begin with the end in mind. So I look over here to see what's going to be available. And I can do this as a label, stick that label onto something, print that as a label, or I can go back over here to products. And when I look at cards, I'm kind of limited on what I have. I don't have very many cards. And again, this is something that you need to think about. How am I going to get this? Am I going to get this printed? And what size is it going to be on? And what's the quality going to look like? So I'm looking at this. Remember, I got 4 inches. What's my size? 4 by 2.5. So I'm looking for something that fits that 4 by 2.5 size. That makes sense? Everybody with me? Is this helpful to you? If all you do for a customer or a client or somebody who's willing to pay you, if the only thing that you do is you give them the graphic, you're not a problem solver. You want to solve the whole problem. You don't want them to come back and go, why did you make it that size? Because that won't work on what I want to do. Make sense? My printer told me that he doesn't have any stock that this can print on and make it work. You've made it the wrong size. Now what do you look like? You look like you don't know what you're doing. So you have to start with what's going to be my end product. What path do I have to take to get there? Because honestly, this is the easy part. This is not complicated. The rest of it's a little harder. That's what this is right here, Rob. This is the size of the holder. Now, that's going to be the outside dimension. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen that done wrong. So if I settle on, and Don has suggested Uline, I have actually used Uline in the past, and I never even thought about looking at them. So thank you for the suggestion, Don. Don probably knows because he's done, more than a few of these. And so what you'd want to do once you've settled on what you want, then you kind of have to work with the pieces that you have and make that work. The last thing you want to do is have to piece it together. I could put this on a label and I can stick the labels on here, but do you understand the thought process? Does this make sense? Don, help us just a little bit because you do this. So Don does the hand woven lanyards and that kind of thing. If you see something that's happening here, let us know. Now, do you see the opportunity that this provides for you? Now, very, very important that you understand the opportunity. I get asked this question a lot. It comes up in I don't know, 1 out of 3 or 4 of the webinars. People say, well, how do you make money with Youzign? This is how you do it. You provide a solution that people hadn't thought of. And this is a solution. This is a packaged, thank you for the word, Patrick. This is a packaged solution that people hadn't really even thought about. And it gives you an opportunity to stand out from the crowd. This part right here, anybody can do. The rest of these things that you're working through, this total package, thank you, Sonny, this total package, that's the thing that people want. They may tell you what they want is a design here. That's the other thing I want to show you, Robin. And I'm going to do that in just a second because you have to be able to do that. Robin says, what's the easy way to convert pixels to inches? What you do is there is a tool called Ninja Pixel and Pixel Ninja or whatever that is. And as I'm moving to Brave, I don't always have the ability to pull that up because it's just saved in my, I can't remember what I call that. So just a second. It's Ninja Units. Just a minute. So I'll drop this over here. And it's this tool right here. It's called Ninja Units, ninjaunits.com. All right, I apologize for that. You know, on a day when I talk about things not working in Chrome, Chrome just kicked me out of the Demio program, our webinar platform. And Demio's in the process. I'll share my screen in just a second. I gotta find I gotta do all these things over again. Demio's been in the process of moving everything to work in other platforms. There's some tools that are used that are required by the browser. And so they're in the process of doing that. This is the Ninja Units. And let's see here. Let me get this pop back out. I'm so sorry. As soon as I switched over to use Chrome, it just kicked me out of everything. Yeah, I know. I've heard the Brave is good too. The problem is it can't run the extension yet inside of Brave for Demio. Demio requires a special browser extension. And listen, guys, you have no idea how much you have to do in order to do one of these webinars. You just don't. The mess that it sometimes creates. So Ninja Pixels or Ninja Units is the best way to convert inches to pixels. So if I always come over here, I make this 600, and that's going to be 4.5. So I put in 4.5, and it tells me that should be 27, or 4.0, whichever that was, be 24. So I use that converter. All right. This is a great little tool. I actually have it stored on my stored on my other browser, and so I went over there to open that up, and then that's when Chrome shut everything down. So thank you, Don, for sharing that link with that. It's a great tool, and it's great for being able to convert your inch sizes, which is what we were looking at over here and over here were your inch sizes, and then being able to create your design based upon the dimensions that you would enter in here. Okay, so I'm not changing some on our platforms. I'm not going to do it. When you've done 600 on one platform, it becomes second nature, and I may have to change browsers, but I'm not changing some of our platforms. All right, everybody with me? This is the easy part. It's providing those additional solutions is the thing that you really need to be able to do in order to win customers and wow people, because then you not only are you providing them with this piece right here, but you're providing them with all of the tools that are associated with this. And then you do, as Don says, become the one-stop solution. Instead of you giving them a design. And listen, I see this all the time. People say, well, my designer gave me this cover and it doesn't fit your program. The problem was that your designer should have asked what size was required. They didn't begin with the end in mind. Yeah, I don't know, John. John's provided a link here. I have a policy. I don't click on somebody else's link during a webinar because you don't know what's going to happen next. So I don't do that. But thank you, John. I will go back and check that out. And if we can, because this is an ongoing case study, obviously this is going to happen down the road here, but I want you to see that. Now, Rob's asking a great question. What do you provide for the end product? And that's a good question. The answer is a little more complicated than you think it is. For this customization right here, remember, this is a customization. And so that customization is not cheap. I'm not worried about it because this is my gig. So I can do that. And the answer to that question is exactly right. Whatever the market will bear, that's a fair assumption. It's a fair assessment. And it makes good sense in this situation that you do charge what the market will bear. Obviously, there are costs associated with that, and you let the client bear those costs. You just simply become the consultant in that situation, and you create this. So it's across the board. If I have to house and host and create the QR code, that's a whole nother dollar figure than if I just have to paste it onto the design. So all of those things factor into the overall cost. Now, in this particular situation, for what we're doing and the value that it's going to bring, if my raw costs are somewhere in the neighborhood of $5, I win. If it goes up to $7, it's still a win for me. But that's not what I would charge the customer. In this case, this is my gig, so I can do other things with it in the process. Does that make sense? All of those things have to be taken into consideration. I'm not going to tell you why I win, okay? Because that's the secret. That's what I get paid the big bucks for. I hope you understand that. Perry, that's a good question. When I was talking about if I have to create this and I have to do this and I have to do this and then I print that out, customize for the customer, yes, that's approximately my overall cost, somewhere between $5 and $7 for that and the other things. That's exactly what it is, Don. It's a line of services that I'm providing. And the outcome of that is going to be what I'm after. Again, you have to figure out what is it that's two things that I've said this over and over again in the webinars. Two things that you have to become a master of. You have to become a master of your output. I'm walking you through the output right here. This is easy to create. We all know how to do this. This is just an image with the background removed that's placed on a gold background, okay? This is just the logo that was provided by the client. Very simple. This is my name that customizes that. This is a QR code that's custom contact information. Very simple stuff. This is easy. But where the real magic's at is I can master the output. This is what my output is. But the second thing that I have to master, is the results. If I know what my results are, Yeah, I even have a QR code generator that is mine. But this one in particular, I'll expose my key here. This one is a Jotform, and we use Jotform for generating that unique contact information for people. And Jotform is an amazing tool, capable of being able to generate awful lot of other stuff, but we use it that way. Okay. And there's lots of places where you can generate a QR code. The trouble that you have is keeping track of them. And that's the reason why I think it's kind of important to create something that has a name on it, a face on it, to partner up with that. Because they can be kind of out of control. So you master your output. This is your output right here. But then the bigger situation is mastering the results. What are the results going to be? What are you going to do with the results? Yes, I did mention branding the lanyard. And you can go up here and take a look at, I'll just pick this one right here. And if I customize this, then it allows me to upload my logo. I don't know if I have that logo here handy or not. It doesn't show it, but it allows me to be able to customize it. It'll tell you right here, this is the logo, and it's going to go, this is the lanyard strip itself. So then this goes in here, and the promise is that it'll look perfect. That's the promise. Okay. Any other questions about that? But when you've mastered the results, what results are we going to get as if we go through all of this effort and I spend $5 per person, or I spend $7 per person to get this in there, what's going to be the result I'm going to get from that? And I need to become the master of the results. This I can teach you how to do. This is easy. These are all of the things that we've talked about all along, okay? But it's the result that we're going to get is that I become the expert at being able to put the badge around the neck of the person. I collect the information of the right people. I partnered them up with the right stuff. I do all of those things in the process of preparing for the event. And then I have a really good idea what the event results are going to be, not pie in the sky, but based upon certain things that are part of my experience. I used to be an event marketer, so I have a really, really good idea where we're going to be able to go with that. And that's what this partnership's all about, is being able to get the right results. All right. Any other questions about that? There's one other thing I would have done if I had had the time. I do not have the time to start it now, simply because I got kicked out of about 4 minutes of the webinar with jumping over, and it's crashed some things that I have to call back up. So interesting that would happen on the very day I talked about Chrome being the weak link in the chain, and then it crashed out. So I will be in the process figuring out if I can get that to operate in a different browser going forward, so we don't ever have that problem again. I don't like problems. That's the reason why I don't change oftentimes. I'd rather fix the problem than than kick what I've done 600 times to the curb. All right. Any other questions? If not, we're going to wrap up a little early today. I do appreciate you all coming in and joining me. I don't want to jump into something else and not give it due diligence and or give it the time that's necessary. I was going to talk about the t-shirts and what we're going to do with that, but we will break down the t-shirts later. It also sounds like the allergies are starting to take my voice away again. So we'll do that. All right. We're going to wrap that up. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully this has been helpful to you to expand your horizons of where you can go. And we'll take care of that. All the replays are posted in the group. That once they're posted in the group, I'm done with them. The Youzign team will take it from there. All right. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And I'll look forward to seeing you here next Friday, same time, same place, doing something brand new and continuing this case study. Okay?